Hey there, everybody. It's Wednesday night, and I am here with your 10 days of health, and we are on day 4. And it's so fascinating to me. We did our Crave Bible study this evening at church, and such a beautiful group of women, and really bearing their souls and just trying to figure it all out. And the coolest thing about this study is it's all about our spiritual health and our mental health and how that ties into things like food and how we eat. And so my topic tonight on day 4 is mindset. And mindset is so important, as it is with many areas in life, but especially when we are talking about how we eat. We have a gazillion books and self-help things out there for eating that's like the mechanics. So you've got to have fewer calories that you take in versus how many you burn. There's all this nutritional advice about everything that you need to do. And the thing is, that's just the mechanics. And so much of it, 80 to 90% of it, is our brain, our crazy brain that we have to retrain. And it's not easy. And a lot of times we find that even if you lose the weight really fast, sometimes you look in the mirror and you may not even see, hey, I went from a size 14 to a size 6. You may not even see that. And that's sort of a danger signal when, your body has moved so fast and your brain hasn't caught up. But one of my favorite books, and we talked about it tonight in class, because of course the book study that we're doing at church is Made to Crave by Lysa TerKeurst, and she is the president of Proverbs 31. It's a wonderful book, and she really does a great job of tying into why our health journey is a spiritual journey, and that God made our bodies, there are temples, for God. And by mistreating them, we should be craving God and not food. But one of the books that I've also introduced in the study, because I feel like it is so good, is this one that I've talked about before, and it is called The Overweight Mind by Jay Nixon. He's a personal trainer, I think in California or somewhere, but this guy's good. And it's all about up here and how you're going to retrain your crazy brain, and how that's going to turn into lasting weight loss and health. Because if all we ever do is focus on how many calories we take in and how many carbohydrates we take in, if you're doing the keto, that's just the mechanics. Until we figure out the foundation of what is driving us to eat, or why we're behaving as though we're behaving, and when we know that it's not good for us, then it doesn't make any difference. And Lysa had a great example tonight on her video about a bucket with holes in it, and it had 3 holes. One was in the upper area, one was in the middle area, and there was a smaller one in the bottom area. And she asked which hole would be the best to plug up first if I'm carrying a bucket of water. Well, of course, it's the hole in the bottom, even if it's the smaller hole, because that's the foundation. And that is what drives you to get to your goal weight. Okay, is it because you had a scare with your health? Or is it because you're on metformin for type 2 diabetes and a bunch of blood pressure medication? Is it because you want to be able to get on the floor and play with your grandkids instead of being one of the grandmas that just pops the video into the machine or does Netflix with your grandkids? You want to be the active grandma. What is it that's really driving your decision? And so that's super important. But along the way, you need to figure out ways to retrain your brain. Our brains are so powerful. They are calorie hogs. They are the Hummers on the highway of life. And willpower doesn't work. And the reason why willpower doesn't work is because we only have a limited supply each day. And there are a lot of things that happen in our day that eat up that willpower, like emotional stuff going on, pressures at work, stuff that happens, drama. And that's why when we start out eating really well for breakfast and for lunch, Then as we get on into the afternoons and the evenings, that's why we start cheating, or we start having a harder time, or we're hungry, or whatever it is. It's because willpower doesn't work. So what do? You've got to retrain your crazy brain. So how do you do that? Well, one brick at a time. One prayer at a time. So every little victory, every time you're able to pass something up because you know it's not healthy, that is a celebration. That is a time that you need to celebrate that you have got another brick in your house that you're building, and how important that is for you to do. And one of the big game changers for me that helped me so much was when I finally realized, instead of worrying about how many calories something had in it and whether I could afford it for that day, the calories in versus calories out, if I would just think about, am I really going to allow myself to have that Whataburger or whatever, because am I going to allow my brain to think that that's okay, and go ahead and give in to that, and that starts a bad habit. And so if you can retrain your brain to where things become habits instead of willpower, you are on your way. And it's really not that hard to do. Once you make that decision, you know what? I'm not going to eat that bag of chips, because if I eat that bag of chips, I'm basically giving myself permission. And I've now lost one of those little battles. So I want to win that battle for the day. That's huge. It's a huge thing to be able to do that. Also, one of the things that Lisa Turker pointed out tonight that was so good, one of her key questions that really makes us think, is she said, "What temporary pleasure have I wanted so much that I gave up lasting victory?" What temporary pleasure did I give up on and I traded it, out of my lasting victory? Is a bag of potato chips worth that? Is some Bluebell ice cream worth that, or a Whataburger? No, it's not. And so if you can just start retraining your brain that way to where that's not worth it, because I'm going to retrain this crazy brain. And one of the big examples that in the book, The Overweight Mind, that Jay Nixon talks about, The Biggest Loser. I love that show. It was so hopeful. I love that these people went to this fat camp and worked out and did their diet, and they had those trainers, and but as Mike would always point out, he would say, yeah, we could do that. If you went and you were locked up in some compound and you had trainers working with you every day, and you had only access to healthy foods, who couldn't do that? We could do that. We just have to get off work, right? So, and I had to admit, he had a point, but I just loved it. I loved the point of that these people were getting healthy. But here's the problem. All that was mechanics. None of it was the 80% of the psychology. So you know what? Now everybody's talking about, and the media's been talking about, all these people gained all their weight back. And it's so sad to me now that I see it, because one of my favorite ones, I'm going to show y'all in a minute, Allie Vincent was my favorite. She was the first woman that won. And I remember watching that series and cheering for her, and I was so happy when she won. But yeah, she in the long run, she hasn't won. So I pulled up some of their pictures, just a couple. The first one, his name is Ryan Benson. And on the left, that's when he started The Biggest Loser. He was 330 pounds. And then the second picture was when he was done with The Biggest Loser as the winner, and he weighed 208 pounds. I think he was the first season winner. And then there he is over on the right today. So he's basically right back where I think he weighs actually a little bit more than 330. So he's up to like 350. So now he's gained all the weight back plus more, because that show focused on mechanics. It didn't focus on how do you retrain your brain, how do you retrain your habits. And then here was my favorite one, and this makes me so sad. Loved her. She started at 234, and she got down to 122. Now, that was the first time I really was paying attention to what Mike was saying, because I thought, gosh, she got to be able to sustain that. It was amazing. I mean, down to 122. And then here she is on the right, and that was in 2016. And she has gained all of her weight back, and it's so sad to me because I just thought I was so happy that a female won, and it was so cool. And then she gained it all back. And then, like with our program, we have time after time where here's a guy, his name is David Bush, and he lost 100 pounds, and the photo on the left was taken 10 years ago. And here he is today. So he has held it for 10 years, and because you have to get inside your head, and you have to make the decision. You have to figure out, what is my want to, what is my why am I getting healthy, what is that going to look like for me, and what opportunities is that going to open up for me? Am I going to be able to get on the floor and play with my grandchildren and be an active grandma? Am I going to be able to get off my metformin and my blood pressure meds? I mean, those are big things. What am I going to be able to do with that? And then you got to start working on the mental aspect of, what does this bag of potato chips really mean to me? It's not about the calories. It's not about that. Because if I allow myself to have that, then I'm basically saying, okay, that's a good habit to have. And the brain will start going to that. And then you're starting to rely on willpower. And willpower won't work. You have to start changing habits. And habits is what will drive and keep that weight off forever. And that's the whole point, right? Like, who wants to gain all the weight back? Because it makes me sick looking at these people from The Biggest Loser that gained all the weight back, because I was so hopeful whenever I watched that show. I loved it. That would be the one show I would DVR because it was such a hopeful program. So anyway, that's day 4 of your tips, your 10 healthy tips. Yesterday was all about community, and I had a bit of that tonight at the church with the ladies in Made to Crave, and I love them. And I love some of the stuff that's happening there. And one of the ladies said tonight that she got the Overweight Mind book, and her husband started reading it, and it's really made a difference in how he is just thinking overall. And so it's really pretty cool. So surround yourself with supportive people who are also interested in similar goals, and change the crazy brain. Y'all have a good Wednesday night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.